All right, welcome back, everyone. I wanted to explain what's happening today. I know sometimes I do lessons on the channel, so today is going to be one of those days. Right now, you're seeing a lot of what you're actually seeing is a lot of swapping going on in the market, but I know it appears red. It appears like we're about to have this major correction, this big tank, but that's actually not what's happening. What is actually happening as is to be expected, and it actually happens several times a year. And what I'm referring to is the triple witching. And this typically, it used to only be in the stock market, but now since crypto and stocks are more intertwined than ever and have created a pathway to be intertwined, you're going to see these type of balances happen at the end of every quarter, right? So we're talking the third Friday of March, June, September, and December, right? And this is going to be a rebalancing. The biggest ones you need to worry about are going to be the one in September and the one that we're experiencing today. This is pretty much the first opportunity that they're going to have to kind of rebalance their portfolios, assess their targets, see if they're on track to hit their targets. And they kind of do the same thing in September, just to kind of say, okay, this is the last one before the actual end of the year. Are we going to hit? Do we need to be aggressive, more aggressive, less aggressive? Where are we? So you see a big swap of funds that's happening today because today is the day to either celebrate you're doing well or you're going to panic because you're going to miss all of your targets for the year. So what is the triple witching? Pretty much you're going to have, typically it's, stock options, stock futures, all of that is going to expire on the same day. You're going to have to re-enter, make adjustments. You'll see calls bought, calls sold. We're going to get into that for, you're looking at the Dogecoin data here on the chart. And that's going to create a lot of volatility in the market. September is much bloodier than this month, but this is I'll say this out of the year, this is the second most volatile month when it comes to rebalancing. So it's not the end of the world. And this is just a short thing because whatever positions they're going to take similar positions. We'll probably, especially for crypto, since we now have seen so much bullishness over the last few months, I expect them to even take greater positions going forward. And we'll take a look here at this options graph here in a second to kind of get into that. So, but overall, this is not something that's going to last, at least for the triple witching. That's not going to be the cause of like a tank or anything. This is just a rebalancing of portfolios. We've seen, yes, they're taking into account the CPI data and all the issues going on with the banks and all that. But overall, when it comes down to exposure, they have to turn over those contracts because they're expired, and then they're going to make a reentry. So that's just something that's typically short-lived and should clear itself up sometime next week, as today's Friday. And they're not going to, crypto's open, but as far as the stock market and this total rebalancing of portfolios, they can't do that over the weekend. So if we're taking a look here at the Dogecoin, and I want to point out that even for Bitcoin, I know people are like, oh my God, Bitcoin is about to have this huge sell-off. Bitcoin had $3.3 billion in options expiring today. So keep that in mind there. If we're looking at options, just if you don't know, options is a contract to buy. Typically, it's a contract to buy 100 shares of an asset. It's the option to do it. You don't have to. You're not obligated. You can flip the contract or you can exercise it, being that if you are in profit. And typically today, you can kind of get an idea of what is the tone of the market. So this is for Dogecoin here, obviously. So the light green is going to be calls sold. This is the area that I'm highlighting right now. So those were the calls. Calls are bullish. Is when you took a bet that an asset was going to increase. Puts is if you are a pessimist about it, you believe that it's going to actually decrease. So this here is what I imagine is the largest contributor to the sell-off here, is because they're selling the calls. You have to take profit today. They're expiring, and then you can make your re-entry. So this is what's sold. This light green area here, I'm going to go down. So 74.21% sold, 15.82. This darker green area, excuse me, are calls that were purchased, right? So this is the, I guess, like the re-entry, right? This is the, okay, we're making calls for in the future. We believe that this is going to be bullish in the future. We believe that we're going to see higher prices in the future. And that's 15.82% so far. So This is the rebalancing that I was telling you about. This is puts. The light puts are the puts that were bought. So 5.80%. So far, it's about a third, a little less than a third of the people are saying that, okay, we believe that there's going to be further pullback. And this is the puts that were sold, 4.17%. So as you can see, even just from the initial holdings, there weren't that many puts that were still in the for Dogecoin on Binance. So what does that mean? This means that when we saw that liquidation of shorts in the market, that they were getting out across the board, because you can short something, then you can also get a put option against it. Both of those, they work similar, but they're different, right? So there are two different ways you can kind of be negative toward an asset. So you can, just like you can buy the asset outright and hold it, or you can say, I don't want to buy it outright. I want to buy the option to buy it outright. And so there's a couple ways to do both. But as you can see now by the tone of the market, if you just want to simplify things, red would be bad and green is good. So if you take a look at that, you definitely are going to see more. Red is bad if you want it to go down, and green is good, obviously, if you want it to go up. So you'll see right now that green is absolutely dominating. So if you're taking a couple into that, you have to see, okay, well, what is like the open interest that's going on? Open interest in the, what is this, the last 24 hours in volume. Have a spike up here so trading volume is around this 4.8 million. Open interest is up there as well. Let's see. This here is more useful. I just want to kind of do things that I want to, that I would technically use here. Put call ratio is kind of what I was just describing. I guess that's a better word for it, put call ratio. But yeah, so right now we're definitely seeing that the tone of the market is still bullishness. And you can kind of find it out if you don't want to necessarily look at these charts here. You could typically get a better idea. So right here, you can say this, because these charts typically say the same thing. You can look at the graph and say, okay, what's the put call ratio? Or they have one here with colors. If you're not into graphs, you can say, oh, okay, well, green's dominating. But we kind of got that from the circular graph and say that, okay, well, green is dominating. So right now we have 85.99% of the market is saying this is going to go up. We believe that there's bullishness, and puts are only 14.01%. So the tone of the market is that there is more bullishness in Dogecoin, right? And if you kind of want to get an idea of this, if you're not that big in the TA, you can look at coin market cap, and you'll see like the greed and fear indicator up there. Like right now, when last I looked at it, I think yesterday, it was like extreme greed. So it was like an 89 out of like 100. So when you see extreme greed, or, if you're looking at like RSI, like if it's overshooting 70 by a lot, you can see, okay, well, probably people are really bullishness here. And even with the RSI, it can be, especially in crypto, it can overshoot for quite some time. So it's not necessarily like, oh my God, it hit 70, it's going to be a huge correction. Even like peak bull market, like 2021, it was overshot for like months. So not the end of the world, but you can kind of get an idea if you're not interested in like charts and stuff. Just kind of look at the greed indicator, and it'll kind of tell you like the underlying tone of the market. So right now we're seeing even in open interest, calls are dominating. So the market right now, the investors are speaking, and they believe that Dogecoin is going up. It's matching all across the board from the positions that they were in and the positions that they're taking right now over the last 24 hours. It's bullish is dominating all across the board. So if you want to confirm that with charts, you can typically do that. But right now, the tone of the market is speaking. So this is why I said this is going to be short-lived. If you have someone who's not understanding what's going on, or even like the volume that's going on, you can share this video with them. Hopefully it provides some clarity. I try to overlay things with charts and make it as simple as possible. We're going to take a look here at the charts. So outside of the dumping that's going on or the swapping, you'll see that we bounced off of this area again, which is perfect. This is why we put this here. This is to get an idea of where we can expect the bounce, and this 1548 range is holding true. So if you are able, again, for those of you who are new to the channel, if you are able to catch it down here at this range, this is what I would consider an extreme buy zone here. This is, you're typically, like, if you're able to catch it down here, you're green. Even though the coin is red on the day, you are in green. And if you've done this at any point in time since, what is this, the 4th, when we got here, you've turned a profit, or you've been green most of the time, except when we have those, like these spikes. So this is absolutely perfect here. Again, we could have, outside of the options and the repositioning, we could have this go on a few more weeks, but with the retest and the frequency of the retest that we're doing, it's unlikely. But because we are retesting that 18 range like every other day, so like and what we just saw in the charts, the bullishness is there. It's certainly giving the attitude that it wants to go up. So it's not something that we can see is like depressed here. Bitcoin broke trend. Well, I mean, Bitcoin had the highest about, and this is kind of what I mean when it comes down to coin specific, data, coin specific catalyst, should I say. If you have something with Doge, say, oh, well, Bitcoin is running, and how come Dogecoin is not? There's different catalysts for each one, because right now Bitcoin is going through the shredder, and no one is saying, oh, how come Doge isn't going down that much? Well, Bitcoin has more options inside of it that are expiring, and so you're going to see a bigger tank. So you have to kind of take the good with the bad. There's pros and cons to both. Bitcoin is going to get the hardest because they have billions and billions of dollars in in options. So you have to kind of take the good with the bad there. And since we took a look at puts, let's take a look here at the shorts. Let's see if they are lining up with what we're seeing. Let's see, because we did see the little green area. Yeah, so this is lining up. So we saw very little put ratio on there. I think like 15% of people being negative, saying, hey, we're going to, we believe that there's further downside. So we see some shorts kind of creeping up here with some smaller candles. So they're taking some positions here at the 14-day, right above the 72-day so far. 200 days coming down. So it's letting you know that the overall trend of the shorts has been down, because they're staying below the 200 for the most part. So right now, yeah. So bullishness is dominating. That's what's going on. If I were long in the coin, like if you're short, then obviously you would be trying to take these positions now and say, okay, well, maybe we can get some downturn. But if you're long in the coin, I would consider trying to catch it around that 15. That's what I would try and do, because that's the biggest resistance for that. Like I said, like if you're able to catch it there, you can kind of catch a bounce. And right now we're between that 15 and 18 ratio. So the better deal that you're going to get right now is 15. I know some people are saying, oh, well, if you were going to purchase now, would you try and catch it around 12? It's unlikely that we break the 12. That's why I said, if I were, depending on how you're playing the coin, if you're short, then obviously you're on red days, you're going to try and attack it. So if I were short, I would be like, okay, well, today's the day. And if I were long, I'd be like, okay, let me try and catch it around 15, because that's going to be you want to try and buy at those support ranges, because even if we go to 25 or 20 and we have that correction there, you can say, okay, well, I see the new range is much wider. I can accumulate additionally at my 15 range. So that's how I would play. I would consider taking advantage of this dip if you are not happy with your coin count. These are days that are somewhat predictable. These time frames, like over the next few days, it is somewhat predictable. So I would be on a lookout, set some alerts to capitalize off of it. If you're looking to accumulate your coins. So just something to kind of keep in mind over the weekend if you're seeing some extreme volatility across the market. But I don't expect this to last. These dips will get bought. If you take a look at the candle here for Doge, That's why it's not 15 cents anymore. The dip is being bought, right? That wick, this wick right here that you see, this wick, this is purchasing. This is the candle was here and it's been purchased up here. Now it's coming out of the zone again. So we'll see, right? This is going to, so we'll see where we actually close, but the dip is being purchased. So just kind of keep that in mind here when you're looking to execute. So that being said, if you learned anything, if you found value in this video, make sure you share it with a friend. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. Just check, because sometimes people think that they are and they're not. We're going to hit 100,000 subscribers this year, and I want you to be in that number. So that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.